Hey everyone, welcome to South of Strange, a show where we share tales of the weird, unexplained, supernatural, and just downright strange. In this series, we're exploring two different haunted house stories, and at the end, we're going to come down on what we think to be the most true. I am one of your hosts, Felipe, and I'm joined today by one of my best friends, Randy.
Hey guys, this is Randy. I don't know what to say, but how's it going?
That's fine. And last but not least, we are joined by Art. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? Chilling. Excited to be here.
Yeah, me
Happy
too, guys.
Thursday night.
Happy Thursday indeed. So we've already gone through one of our two stories, and if you guys haven't checked that one out, you should. It is all about one of the U.S.'s probably most famous haunted house stories, the Amityville Horror. Again, we'll put a link within the video if I can figure out how to do that, or at the very least, we'll put it within the description of the actual video itself. So again, be sure to check that one out. As a matter of fact, we'll wait here while you go check that out.
Hey.
All right, cool. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you guys got a chance to check that one out. And now let's get over. Let's go across the pond, as they say, and jump into our second story here: Haunting or Hoax, Part 2, the Enfield Poltergeist.
Ooh.
It all started in a quaint council home in Enfield, London, on August 30th, 1977. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother of 4 children, heard loud noises coming from her daughter's bedroom. She walked down the hall expecting to find her daughters, Margaret and Janet, roughhousing. She instead found them huddled in the corner with terrified expressions on their faces. With tears rolling down their cheeks, they told her the chest of drawers had begun moving on its own towards the bedroom door, just as she was about to dismiss their claims as the wild imagination of 2 young teenage girls. The drawers suddenly moved in the direction of the door by itself. She tried to push against the drawers, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if some evil force was trying to trap them inside the room. Peggy managed to get herself and the girls out of the room. She grabbed the rest of her children and ran across the street to ask for help from the neighbors, Vic and Peggy Nottingham. When Vic, a burly builder of a man, went into the house to investigate, he heard strange noises coming from all around the home. He heard knocking on the walls in the bedroom and all across the ceiling. Did Randy's camera just go off?
See you, Randy.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
I was like, what the fuck?
I've been trying to fix it for the last 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Where were we? He heard knocking on the walls, in the bedroom, and all across the ceiling. All of it proved to be too much for the man, and he too fled the house. He decided then to call the police, who arrived shortly and began to explore the home.
It came off the floor, or nearly a half inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
She later signed an affidavit confirming what she had seen, which hats off to her. Like, if I was a cop and somebody calls me into a haunted house, I'm right away assuming they're on drugs.
You need to piss in this cup, please. What? Now?
Right now.
Damn.
Despite all of this, they still deduced this was not a police matter. This was the beginning of the Enfield Poltergeist. So far, guys, we have a terrified mother with her children, weird-ass shit happening, so much to the point where she had to go and call the police, which, again, hats off to them for coming in and even just...
You call at that point, yeah?
Yeah, like they actually tried. But I do like that at the end of it, they're just like, fuck this, we're out. After that first night, strange things continued to happen in the house. Not knowing where else to turn, Peggy decided to call popular UK publication The Daily Mirror to come and investigate the supposed supernatural occurrences. But when the reporting team arrived, the house sat still for hours. It wasn't until they were just about to leave that something happened. As the photographer walked back into the house to grab the last of his equipment, a Lego brick flew across the room and hit him right above the eye. After that, some of the events that followed were captured.
A Lego brick?
Yeah, like a little Lego.
Like a little tiny Lego brick?
Yeah, just flew across. Dude, those hurt when you step on them. Has anyone ever thrown one of those at you?
No. But
No.
yeah, stepping on it is definitely something I
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the
hated living with kids. Yeah, that pissed. I'd throw that shit away. I wouldn't even pick your shit up. No, I'm throwing that shit away.
yeah,
No.
absolutely. I'm pretty sure
It's
that
a
one of
hazard.
this. I'm pretty sure that one of the circles of hell is just a bunch of Lego bricks on the floor, and you have to just perpetually
Right.
walk on them for the rest of your.
Barefoot.
Yeah, fuck all of that. After that, some of the
Oh, bug
events
out.
that followed were captured on camera, such as a photo of a terrified Janet after she had been reportedly pushed across the room. Though frustratingly, they could never actually capture more intense happenings like objects floating in air. Still, stunned and convinced something truly paranormal was happening in this unassuming home, the Daily Mirror called the Society for Psychical Research. And this happens to be just a group of paranormal investigators that go around looking into.
Ghost hunters,
Yeah, they're like the real Ghostbusters in a sense.
ghost hunters.
Or ghost hunters, yeah.
Right.
Let's see here. So, who sent Maurice Gross, who, by the way, guys, this man, I think I sent you a picture of him. He has one of the most epic mustaches I've ever seen. Like, one of us needs to grow this. And I think, Randy, I think you might be the best choice for this particular type of mustache.
I think Art would be.
Oh, yeah?
I could try.
All right. Well, one of us needs to. And the other guy they sent is a man named Guy Lyon Playfair, which Guy Lyon Playfair, that's a magician's name, right? Like, that's a wizard's name?
Yeah, that's somebody that's already been danced with it before. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. So these, again, are two paranormal investigators. They were the first to explain to the family that what they had was a poltergeist. And if you guys didn't know, poltergeist itself is German for noisy ghost. Now,
Oh, I did not know that.
I told you, this show isn't all about just jokes and
Education.
dumb little stories. Yeah, we're teaching you something. So Playfair would subsequently go on to write a book called This House is Haunted, the true story of the Enfield Poltergeist. During his stay at the house, Gross, he witnessed more than 2,000 different incidences of supernatural activity. Things like furniture turning over,
yeah.
cups seemed to magically fill with water, objects being thrown across the room, then being hot to the touch when picked up, fires igniting all on their own, cold breezes moving through the home, physical assaults, graffiti appearing out of nowhere, disembodied voices, and even the children themselves levitating in midair. Perhaps the most frightening of all of these encounters was when a curtain next to Janet's bed wrapped itself around her neck while she was sleeping.
And how come they're still sleeping there again?
I don't know, man. It's like,
rather be homeless at that point. Shit. All right.
yeah, I'm sleeping in the car. I'm sleeping at the Y. I'm breaking into work and staying there. I'm not dealing with this shit. It was during his time at the house that Janet became the center of attention for the paranormal activity. She would complain that she would feel like somebody was putting her hand over her nose and mouth to stop her from breathing, and that she could see an old man sitting on a chair in one of the rooms. The supposed poltergeist eventually started speaking through Janet. The young girl would go on to have these trance-like states where she would speak in a deep, guttural voice. This voice, calling himself by many names, would most often refer to himself as Bill Wilkins. He explained that he died in the Hodgins home.
Hello. Hello. Meow. Margaret's sleeping and talking. Margaret's sleeping and talking. Margaret's sleeping and talking. Wow. Wow, sleep. Mr. Grant fell asleep and he's talking. Sound. Hello. Love food talking.
Mr. Gross! Mr. Gross! Quick!
It was later actually proven by ways of Mr. Wilkinson's son that Bill was a resident of the home and did in fact die of a hemorrhage while sitting in the living room. Now, I showed you guys a clip of this so you can see, first of all, how the voice actually sounded, which to me, I don't understand how a young girl can make that voice. Like, I know I can try to make it, and it'll hurt my voice for a little while, but I can't keep it on for as long as she was. She was giving full-blown conversations with him. On top of that, I don't know how a young girl in the 70s without access to the internet can easily find out information about who lived there before her, let alone what happened to him.
Yeah, this is definitely 100% authentic already.
That was real, dude. That was a real possession.
It has to have been something. It's definitely. I'm already feeling this story a little bit more in terms of truthful weight than Amityville did.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you really burst the bubble last week with like, oh, well, so-and-so bought it, and like he was already on that.
Well, of course, anything else, this story is going to be somewhat similar. So let's continue on here. So, adding to the whole story, Janet admitted to playing with a Ouija board with her sister just before the activity actually flared up, which again is exactly why we're never fucking with one of those. I don't care what we do. We can go check out.
Those things are real.
Yeah, I'll check out haunted houses.
Right in the nads.
Yeah, I'm not fucking with that shit. So it's also
what about a Ouija board in a haunted house?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Or in a cemetery.
No, it's not like two negatives making a positive here, Randy. Like, I'm just not fucking with it. Like, if it's in the equation, I'm done. It's worth noting and pointing out that most believe that poltergeists feed off of negative energy, and the Hodgsons were already kind of going through a stressful time before the hauntings even started. Peggy had actually gone through a pretty recent messy divorce from her children's father, who would actually still visit the home while bringing his new girlfriend over. So they already had some trauma, and the fact that this is all going on does make people kind of believe that, sure enough, that a poltergeist could have been attracted to all of this. Throughout the next 18 months, a number of other paranormal researchers visited the home, including our friends from the Amityville case, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Like I mentioned, they have a tendency to kind of pop up on these high-profile cases, and it kind of makes you wonder if they're really in for themselves or if they are trying to do some good, because there have been reports of them kind of trying to play up for the sake of it being.
They just want the publicity, man.
They want, yeah, exactly. Exactly
yeah.
Right.
But again, that could possibly be a story for another day. Now, they publicly stated that they were convinced that the supernatural was responsible for the strange happenings in the house. It wasn't until a priest's visit to the home in the autumn of 1978 that the incidences actually started to quiet down, although the occurrences did not stop entirely. The family continued to hear noises in the home until the day they each finally left the house. Peggy living there until her death in 2003. And like you said, I would have tried to move out of there as soon as this stuff started happening. I'm not staying here more than a couple of days.
I'll pay the note for you. You can have it.
Of course, many cast their doubt on the events, claiming the children were behind this elaborate hoax and were faking their demonic symptoms. Some members of the SPR adamantly questioned Janet's gruff voice and even caught the children bending spoons themselves by ways of a video camera that was set up in the room next door. In fact, Janet admitted that she and her siblings fabricated a few of the events. Quote, "Oh yeah, once or twice."
So they like this shit. Seems like they were going along with it. Like, what?
Yeah, that's definitely going to lead into some of the next pieces.
So this is a hoax as well.
It could be. So this is a quote from Janet. "Oh yeah, once or twice we faked it just to see if Mr. Gross and Mr. Playfair would catch us. They always did." She even stated that, quote, 2% of the events in the house were caused by them. As for Janet's gruff voices, they were thought by famed ventriloquist Ray Allen to be an inexplicable vocal trick. Lending to that theory itself was the fact that both Bill and Janet had a habit of suddenly changing the topic, as noted by Guy Playfair. Gross, however, he contested this idea by explaining that Janet would speak in this voice for hours at a time with no adverse effects like hoarseness on her voice, which is the same thing that we were talking about. Like, I can do that voice for a little bit, like we all probably can, but we were only going to keep it up for so long, and then we're like, all right, cool.
Unless they're trained, yeah.
Unless they're trained, but she's a little girl. Like, where is she getting the time to do this?
Yeah, exactly. Why
she's
would
like,
you
old.
What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Yeah. So Some other people believe that Peggy was the one that was actually behind the entire incident, suggesting that it was all intended to get a better console home, because for them, console homes are like government-issued houses, right? You know, again, she was a divorced mother, so the government decided to step in and help her.
Assistant. Yeah.
So, right, their idea is that if she was concocting the story, that there was exactly, they'd move her out. But again, the woman stayed there till she was dead. So, or till she passed.
If you're staying there that long, that makes you wonder. You know, like, was that really going on? Like, who's really going to stay 20, 30 years, whatever there? No problem. Sleeping day in, day out. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
maybe 2 days. That's just fuck out of here. I'm out of there, bro.
Right. But I mean, if you have no means to get yourselves out of there,
it's true.
What else do you do?
Kind of like on nothing. Yeah, that's true. You're kind of already.
Yeah, you're stuck between a rock and a haunted place.
Yeah. You're stuck.
So, again, people are assuming that her idea or her intention was to get a better house or maybe gain some money and some fame from this story. But as far as I could find, she never received a dime from retelling these stories. She didn't make money the way the Lutzes did in Amityville. And for the most part, the family themselves were pretty ostracized by the entire community. So it's not like they, had a good time with any of this stuff for the most part.
Right, they had to live with that. They were fucking ridiculed and made fun of,
and all that stuff. Exactly, like anybody else would be. Now, another thing.
Crazies, don't talk to them. That sucks. Yeah.
Right. You can only imagine how cruel kids are, right? Like, hey, these are the crazy kids that have a ghost or that live with a ghost. You can just imagine the mockery. Another thing to note is that these occurrences themselves never happened under controlled circumstances. Doubters point to the fact that people frequently see what they expect to see, their senses being organized and shaped by their prior experiences and beliefs in a process that's called top-down processing, which is kind of what we're hoping that our viewers are going to do. So hopefully you guys watch this, tell other people it's good, they watch it, they assume it's good, so like and share, please. Now, Guy Playfair pointed out that eventually, quote, the whole family was seeing visions or apparitions of faces at windows and shadowy figures on the stairs. Another example of possible trickery is when Janet once said that, quote, one night, Mr. Gross was talking about it, and he said, all we need now is the voices to talk. The next night, the voices began to speak in full sentences. Similarly, when a reporter from the Daily Mirror told the girls that the poltergeist usually caused outbreaks of fires, the Enfield entity quickly turned its hand into pyromania. So again,
wow, how
convenient, right?
Yeah, nice,
exactly,
perfect timing.
So it's kind of easy to see how this could be explained away as some troubled young kids that were just seeking attention because they were already kind of going through a rough time as it is. Now they have, their parents that are getting a divorce, their dad who's not making things easy by coming over with his girlfriend, probably antagonizing their mother, and just, again, causing a horrible time with it all, right? It's easy to understand how they're getting some sort of positive reinforcement or positive attention at the very least, right? People are interviewing them, they're asking them questions, they're interested in what's going on with them. Nobody's yelling at them or ignoring them. Like, they're getting attention. So it's easy to see how they could maybe either capitalize on this and build on it by making things bigger than what they are, or maybe making it all together. But they have some more or less credible witnesses, right? They have a cop that goes on record saying that she saw something. You have reporters, you have these paranormal investigators that are saying things happened. So I feel like we have a little bit more proof here than we did with Amityville. But
nobody heard nothing, no shots, no nothing, no witnesses.
Right, so everybody from the Hodgsons rejects...
Happened around the same time too, right?
Yeah, it all happened around the same thing.
As well, right?
Yeah, but again, guys, like I mentioned, just like the Lutzes, everybody from this family and from the Hodgsons, they agree and they stand firm in what they believe happened here. Like, nobody has said anything like, oh yeah, we made it all up. There's a little bit of an admission of, hey, yeah, we faked some stuff.
And I'm sticking to it. Right.
Exactly.
So finally confessed, bullshit. Leave us alone.
What about you guys? I want to start with you, Randy. Like, now that we've gone through Enfield, what are your takeaways from this particular story?
I feel like it's just another group of people trying to make a quick buck off infamy. I think once they find one people gets infamous for doing one thing, somewhere, there's copycats, and maybe this is just
absolutely
copycat. I don't know.
It very well could be. Art, what about you? What are your thoughts on Enfield here?
Same thing. None of you pointed out, like, the kids are going through a hard time with the dad and the mom moving out and government housing almost. It's almost a way that kind of like they deal with things. We start misbehaving. They start just. Then they said, hey, we actually did 2% of this. Like, nah.
Right.
You had something to do.
Because they're kids, right?
Especially with the
that
kids.
Scare the shit out of anybody.
The fact that the kids were also trying to bend spoons too,
Yeah,
it just shows that they're a little bit mischievous, using effects and camera tricks and all that.
Lying on camera and just trying to.
It seems like their creative side. Yeah,
it's true. That's pretty slick on their part, being so young and doing that, trying to fool the world.
But guys, honestly, that kind of does it for part 2 of our Haunting or Hoax series. We're going to wrap it up here, and we'll be back for part 3, where we actually sit down and discuss the differences between our 2 stories and figure out which one, because we're going to have to, we're going to figure out which one we think is going to be more true. So if you enjoyed what you heard, if you had some fun today, please like and subscribe, hit the little bell thing. That way you know when part 3 goes live. We, of course, have a Facebook page you can follow at South of Strange at Facebook. We have a Twitter at South of Strange, the number 3. And then we also have a Instagram, and that is just all lowercase South of Strange. Shout out to our friends and families that have actually taken the time to watch our first video and given us some great feedback. Thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate it. Any more feedback we could get, definitely appreciate it, because we want to get better at this. Guys, do you have anything to say before we sign off?
Yeah, no,
I'm going to say thanks for tuning in. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna speak my turn. Hey, I'm not waiting on you, Randy. Just thanks for tuning in. Giving us the feedback, and hopefully we'll continue these interesting and strange topics throughout the weeks, and we'll get better and better.
And let us know if there's any other topics that you'd like us to talk about.
For sure. Any suggestions?
Suggestions are welcome as well. That's it.
Absolutely. So, guys, we'll catch you the next week when we put these 2 juggernauts of ghost stories against each other. Until then, be good, Internet.
No, I just thought it was cool to say. I've never actually talked to these guys, so I'm just going to endorse their product until they sign us. How about that?
There you go.
Free advertisement, baby.
We're going to keep advertising their product until they get us to stop by sponsoring us.
Don't start buying our shit, you bitch.